Καλημέρα. Good morning. Σκέφτηκα τι πρέπει να κάνω.
I was trying to find what we could do in order to honor our guests, so I decided to speak in English.
I was thinking about it and I decided to speak in English so we honor our guests, and you can remove your headphones now. Thank you very much for all of you for participating in this extremely important event that is organized by the Ministry. And before I get into regulatory or specific issues of our today's agenda, I would like to say a few things very quickly, just to give you an overview of where we stand. I'm sure that you all know where we stand, but I just want to repeat, really, just to have an idea, just for the purpose of today's discussion. As we all know, the telecoms sector is part of a wider ecosystem that we call it ICT, and I just decided to show here to you a few indicators that put the telecoms sector in perspective. As you can see, ICT globally is a highly competitive market, and one observation that we all make is that Europe, in the top 5 players in those categories that you see on the wall, is lagging behind. We have very few European players in the major categories of the ICT. And also, you know the statistics. We have many operators in an area that we have, I would say, the least population compared to the US and the China markets. And just to remind to you the numbers behind the business numbers, the telecoms in Europe is in the region of 250 billion euros, and from collective sources of information we hear that Europe needs in the next few years 270 billion euros of investments. If my numbers are not correct, I would encourage the next speakers to correct me. So, and a key question that was addressed in a different way by the Secretary General, Mr. Daskalakis, is who is going to invest, who is going to put this money. We're not in the situation where governments were able to spend. But at the same time, it is quite difficult to assume that the private sector, the companies, will be able to spend that money as well. So I just put and pose this question to you. I hope that the next speakers will build on it. Let me just very quickly go through certain trends in the ICT, and I think you will all agree with me that we are moving to an area where a lot of things will change. And my emphasis here is that we cannot advance, we cannot progress one sector without the others. By sectors, I mean the hardware, the software, and the telecoms. And I pose a question, which again I hope that the next of the speakers might be able to answer. Is the technology in the telecoms area in pace with the rest of the other two technologies? I'm not going to give an answer at the moment. But I want to show you a video. I hope it works. I'm sorry. Before the video, I just want to point out again in the definition stage of our speech today, that we observe a move that the basic components of the hardware, the devices, is passing through an era of disintegration, and we expect to see reintegration of those very shortly, in the next 3 to 4, maximum 5 years. As you can see, the components of what a user used to use, nice expression, like the monitor, the computer itself, the towers or the laptops, and the keyboard, they vanish, they disappear. All we need is to put a chip on a smartphone, and obviously the data and the software will reside in the cloud. And that is an explanation why we need broadband. And here is an estimate of a company which is active in the network equipment, that by the year 2017, which is 3 years from now, 65% of the devices used by users are going to be smartphones. I just want to have this on the wall. Again, I'm just trying to refresh the memories of each and everyone that is here in the audience today. Don't forget the machine-to-machine, the Internet of Things, which is also adding the demands of connecting things together, not only people. It is very important for us here in Greece, and I just want to reiterate in different pictorial view what the Secretary General said, that the digital dividend is for us a key objective. And I just want to confirm, to reassure the audience, that the plan of Greece is to stick to the promises, and we're going to deliver November 1, no matter what. For those of you who are not quite familiar with this project is to release the spectrum that today is covered by analog TV signals and provide this spectrum. The term is provide the spectrum to the telecom operators, mobile operators. And I reiterate, I repeat what the Secretary General said. This is not a financial requirement for the country to bridge, to put the money in the gaps of the deficits of the country, but it is a very important investment opportunity that the country has to fulfill. Okay, so if this is the background, the question is, are we all moving in the right direction, in the same direction and at the same pace? I just want to show you the stakeholders in a simplistic way. As you can see, more or less we have the same agenda by stakeholders, meaning the European Commission, the BEREC, the national regulatory authorities, the governments and the operators. And I think it's quite evident, and we shall not hide ourselves behind our fingers, that the roadmap ahead is not the same across the different stakeholder entities. Obviously, today we shall deliberate on the key elements of the European Commission initiatives, like the proposal for the EU single market, the network neutrality, the authorization, the access products, the international roaming, the end-user provisions and the spectrum. I'm sure that the rest of the speakers will elaborate on those areas. And let's see if by the end of this conference we are closer or farther in those issues. Just a few words about our regulatory authority agenda. As you know, we are new to the position. That does not mean that we changed the approach. Authorities have got a continuation. Nevertheless, there are things that we can revisit, and we are revisiting our plans as we speak. Our objectives are quite ambitious. I don't know, and I'm sorry if you cannot read those from the back of the room, but I can read some of them, not all. The first objective is to keep the good things that the regulatory authority is familiar. The things that we have done good, we will keep them good and improve. The second is that we need to improve our internal efficiency, and we need to cover the backlog of the pending issues, which I have to admit are quite many within the offices of ED. Obviously, we need to work with the stakeholders, including the government, to remove the legislatory constraints. I think the Secretary General gave you quite a thorough perspective of the initiatives to simplify and complete the regulation and the legislation. And it's very important that ED plays a leading role in streamlining the intergovernmental processes. We also aim to maximize the public benefit from exploiting the precious public resources like the spectrum. And finally, we need to identify and participate in opportunities in the areas like business to business, business to citizen, but also government to government and government to citizen. And obviously, all the rest will happen within the framework of the EU initiatives. I suggest that you measure our performance by looking in each period of time, I would say next year probably, or in 6 months' time from now, if we deliver measurable, tangible results to the market. And by talking to the market, I pose a theme, at least in my regulatory authority, that we need to work along the lines of what makes business sense, and if you don't like the business, you can take it out and put the market sense. So I think the balance across three elements of equation, that is the consumer, the governments and the European Commission and the telco operators, the balance and the equilibrium is of paramount importance in order to go forward. We need to reconcile our roadmaps. As I said before, if we don't have a good and one and only roadmap amongst the different stakeholders, we need to reconcile our maps. The consumer is the king. All in this room, please have this in mind. We are all finally judged by the king. The king is the consumer, the citizen, the taxpayer, the customer, whatever you want to call him, the one and only whole person who is watching us. There is somebody which we don't see today here, but is watching us. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to fruitful exchange of views amongst the panelists. And just for administration, I will present today the first row of the panelists. And then we will have a second row from the operators. And I hope that we will have time to answer questions from the audience when we finish. I just want to remind everybody that we have a quite strict 15-minute presentation slot. And I just invite Mr. Whelan to continue the speech. Thank you.